Hey guys, I'm finally got a chance to read Hunter x Hunter Volume 2. I'll be honest, it's a little bit of a slow burn, but I have great expectations of this one based on all the memes the Hunter x Hunter fans have been making. So we're still in the basically tournament, hunter exam arc, and they're thinning out the herd. And the cool recurring theme is a innocent, naive boy. He's not an idiot, but he is naive, surrounded by intellectual people who are trying to see through all of these games of deception. And the other cool recurring theme is physical challenges that also have hidden puzzles or intellectual challenges buried with them. And so sort of like they're testing their strength, they're testing their intelligence, and they're testing their commitment. How courageous are you? How much exactly do you want to be a hunter? So let's hop in. Last time, Hisoka, the mad clown, had attacked three of the examinees and basically made it clear, I'm going to kill you guys. He offers them a chance to run away. But Leorio, who we thought was just a greedy schmuck who was after the money, but really he has deeper reasons. He wants to become a hunter so he can become a doctor. He comes back and decides, you know what? I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to die without getting one last shot at you. Before Leorio can be killed, Gon arrives with his fishing rod and lands a hit on Hisoka. Now, after the fight, there's a great panel I've got to show you because it's just so dang cool. Look at that. Punch is going forward. Poor Leorio, he's lifted into the air by the force of the punch, and he's twisting around. Just great physics on that punch. So what Hisoka reveals is that he is only interested in killing people he thinks are too weak. If he thinks you have potential, he lets you go. So Leorio wins his respect by coming back to face him, even though he's not ready to fight a guy like Hisoka. Gon wins his respect by landing a hit on him, and later Gon reflects that he was actually scared for his life, but at the same time, he was excited. There are real life and death stakes, but Gon is excited by the adventurous side of being a hunter. So everybody survives the field, and they get to the next challenge. One cool thing I noticed is, Yoshihiro Togashi likes to use little tiny panels to kind of like show you what everybody is doing in a given situation. So it'll be like boom, 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 boom. And also likes a lot of horizontal panels. I think I covered up one of them. Yeah, like this one. It goes all the way across the page for just one little reaction shot to show that Gon has a chill crawling up the back of his spine. So the next challenge is they have to capture animals and prepare food for two hunters. One is a glutton, and he doesn't really care what they make so long as they make him as many wild boar as possible. And the second, Menchi, is a gourmet, and she wants her dishes prepared just so. So it's cooking. Well, that's kind of weird. Why are we asking these fighters to cook? But then there's lots of reasons why. A, you have to kind of like find food to survive by yourself in the wild. B, hunters excel in multiple fields. So there are doctor hunters, there are assassin hunters, there are cooking hunters. So the challenge for Buhara is mostly just a test of speed. Just go get me a pig, defeat the pig, bring it back as fast as possible before I get full. By the way, this kind of illustrates how the artist has multiple styles. I call it style shift. Sometimes there's a bit more of a realistic, sketchy style. Sometimes there's like a goofy cartoon style. It varies a lot, and he uses it a lot for certain emotional effects. So it's kind of a neat example of not having a consistent style, but if you consistently have an inconsistent style, you can make it work for certain emotional beats and comedic beats, like goofy cartoon images for goofy comedy scenes, for example. So after they survive Buhara's test, Menchi's test, what's clever about this is, there's some cool world building. So she's a one-star hunter, meaning she is accomplished in one field. So this is some world building stuff. We know that there are one-star hunters now, and the challenge she gives them is to make me sushi. And the joke is none of them know what sushi is because only one of them is from Japan. So it's a nice little gag that assumes a Japanese audience, and that the Japanese audience would be very familiar with sushi. Wouldn't it be funny to meet a bunch of characters who have no clue what this common Japanese item is? So Menchi's problem, though, is she's a ridiculously persnickety, so nobody can make sushi that's good enough for her. But the whole test is about intuiting. Look at these clues. Can you figure out what sushi is without knowing what sushi is? And some of them get really close, but Menchie's too persnickety. The big boss has to intervene and ask her to give them an easier test. Meanwhile, after they pass Menchie's test, there's some discussion of Hisoka, the mad clown. The instructors basically conclude he's probably as strong as a real hunter, and probably the only reason he hasn't been made a hunter yet is his bloodlust and his proclivity to just like murder a bunch of people. So even though he's not a hunter, we know he's a serious threat. Gon and Killua have a guy-to-guy talk, and Killua jokes that, well, I ran away from home because my parents are assassins, and Gon takes him seriously, and Killua admits, really? Huh, my whole innocent kid shtick works by people not knowing whether I'm serious or not. So what's really clever about this from a writing perspective is this is potentially backstory for Killua, but we're not sure because we don't know if he's joking or not. He jokes about how he stabbed his mom and brother and ran away from home, and he's going to become a hunter so he can hunt down his own family who are assassins. And he's clearly joking as he says it. But Gon believed him the first time. So the fact that he's doing the joking routine the second time makes you wonder, well, maybe that's really is his backstory. So Gon is a genuinely innocent kid. Killua is a kid who puts on an innocent act, but underneath there's something else going on. The old master bumps into them, and he gets interested in them and asks them, how do you like the exam? Killua says, this isn't challenging. I wish it was harder. Gon is having the time of his life. This is the most fun he's ever had. So since Killua isn't challenged, the old man gets the idea. I'll tell you what, just take this ball away from me. If you can do that, I will issue your hunter licenses right now. Dun, dun, dun. You know where this is going. He's kind of like the Master Roshi character. It's kind of like the genius kung fu master playing keep away with the naive kid. So Killua has learned some advanced techniques, but he can't keep up with them. Gon does a neat thing where he bum rushes him, and the old man thinks, well, this kid's naive, but then Gon, at the very last second, it's a feint, but his feint doesn't work. He jumps too high and bonks his head on the ceiling. So Gon isn't an idiot. The master says he seems immature, but there's a sound brain in there. So Gon isn't a logical thinker, but he is a good intuitive fighter. So it's sort of like he knows how to think with his fists and his feet on the fly, but he doesn't really know how to solve a puzzle. Jumping ahead. So of course the trick is both of them have to attack him at once, and there's again, pay attention to this because this is what's really cool about Hunter x Hunter. There's always a physical fight, a physical challenge, but there's always a mental or hidden intellectual challenge. So after they fought him for a while, Killua notices that he hasn't used his right arm or his left leg once. And if you actually rewind and pay attention to it again, you realize, yeah, that's true. He didn't use his right arm or his left leg that whole time. And he wasn't even making it obvious that that's what he was doing. So Killua is the not innocent one. He's the observant one. And that Gon is the more naive, more innocent one. So after figuring that out, Killua gives up. This is ridiculous. You're just wasting our time and trying to tire us out so we can't pass the next exam. So I'm calling it here. Killua admits defeat. And Gon says, well, wait a minute. Maybe if I keep fighting him, there's time to make him use his right arm. And so Gon is a committed person. Even if he doesn't think he can win, he still wants to keep trying just to see how far he will go. And then at the last second, he tries to grab the ball real quick. So Gon, it really is a genuinely innocent person. He really does want to push the old man and challenge himself as much as he can. But he's not above using a quick trick if he can. Now, it doesn't work. And the master observes, all that about my right hand was a nice bit of misdirection. So you're thinking, okay, maybe Gon isn't as innocent as he seems. But at the end of the fight, Gon pushes the old man until he has to use his right hand, of course, to keep away from him. And then Gon is so proud of himself and so happy that the old man calls the shipmaster up and asks them to slow down so that Gon can get a little sleep before the next challenge. Gon really did want to fight until the old man used his right arm. So he really is that innocent kid deep down. In contrast, Killua runs into a couple dudes and murders them in cold blood. So underneath Killua's innocent act, there's the heart of a cold-blooded killer, and we don't know why yet. So innocence being contrasted with sneaky tricks. Now, throughout these games, it's sort of like the games are unfair, but because they're unfair for everybody, that means they're fair for everybody. So there are consistently problems where the examiners don't give them enough information to know what they're actually supposed to do. So the four friends and one sneak are matched together, and they have to go through a series of paths where they vote. And Tanpa is a dirty, lying sneak who all he wants to do is screw up other examiners. So what's clever is voting is the key mechanic, but one guy wants them to fail. I want to talk about this because this is another like clever trick. So Tanpa says, well, look, you guys don't trust me. How about I go out first? That way it won't come down to me being the last one if there's a tiebreaker. And that sounds like it makes sense. But the second he goes out there, he throws the fight and surrenders. And that's when he finally reveals what his game is. He actually doesn't want to become a hunter. He's only there purely because he gets a sort of sadistic kick out of watching the young hunter applicants die and fail to achieve their dream. So in a game where voting counts, there's one snake who is sabotaging them. What's clever about his trick is it sounded good, but it actually doesn't make logical sense. If there was someone you didn't trust, you'd want your trustworthy fighters to go first. You'd want to get your 3 wins out of the way quickly and move on to the next room as soon as possible. There's also a time element. So they've got to get out of this maze in 72 hours. So if they spend too long debating things, it's sort of like that even if there is no trap at all, if they just spend all their time debating about whether it's a trap or not, they still lose. So one of and there's several examples of this, but here's just one great example. So Gon has to fight a guy who's got 2 candles. One is longer than the other, and he asks Gon to pick the candle he wants to use. The candle that lasts the longest, that person wins. So the obvious choice is to pick the longer candle, right? Everybody else who's smarter than Gon sees that there's got to be some kind of trick here. There's got to be some obvious deception. But here's the problem. Okay, well, I'll pick the long one because that's longer. Well, okay, he must have thought of that, so I'll pick the short one because it's shorter. But what if he thought of that? Well, okay, then I can't pick that one, so I got to pick. So the whole point of the trick is to not give you enough information about the choice, to torture you into sort of slowly wondering about the choice as long as possible. So Kurapika, who is bright enough to see that this must be some kind of trick, just tells Gon, look, you just pick the one you instinctively want to pick, and we'll vote for that one so we don't waste time. So Kurapika makes a cool-headed decision at the moment, and of course Gon picks the long one because, well, the long one should last the longest, right? It's a no-brainer. He can say that. So Gon he only sees the first level of the trick, and he doesn't even bother to think beyond the first level. But ironically, that means it's hard to trick him because he doesn't play that mind game of, well, maybe he's trying to trick me to do this, or maybe he's trying to trick me to do that. In the end, it works out because Gon is a very physically capable person. So at first they're kind of like just waiting for the candles and trying to desperately keep them to not blow out. So the bad guy's trick was actually a double feint. It was sort of like the Princess Bride. Actually, both candles were trick candles, and he switched out a good candle for his own at the last minute with sleight of hand. So Gon's is burning too fast, and it's going to burn out, but it's burning so strong he doesn't have to worry about the wind blowing it out. So he can basically just run up and blow the bad guy's candle out in one quick motion. So Gon is naive, but not an idiot. He's naive enough that he doesn't think about, he'd be easy to trick, but he's also intelligent enough to think on his feet and not panic in a given situation and to come up with an obvious solution to a problem where the problem seems to be asking you to come up with a complex solution. Really, really clever. It's just a great theme. So it's sort of like how Goku is naive and innocent, and he's surrounded by sexual degenerates, and so that makes Goku stand out in Dragon Ball because he's the only sexually innocent character. Gon is the only sort of naive non-logician. He's the only non-logician on a team full of logicians, but it's ironically the fact that Gon's not a logician means he sees solutions to problems that are too simple for the smart logicians to see them. Really clever writing. More coming soon.